Previously on What If, Karen raised Ash. Ash successfully arrived at Violet City and obtained his first gym badge, but shortly after, an explosion was heard coming from Sprout Tower. Now picking up where we left off, the group of trainers rush in the direction of Sprout Tower. Once they arrive, they see the horrific sight of Sprout Tower in flames. The sounds of people and Pokemon screaming can be heard coming from the flames. Instinctively, Silver calls out his Totodile and commands it to use a water gun on the building as an attempt to put out the fire. Ash sends out Larvitar and commands them to go into the tower and look for survivors. Larvitar, being the only Pokemon that could withstand fire, rushes in as commanded. Falconer sends out his bird Pokemon to survey the area in hopes of finding the cause of the fire. As Falconer's Noctowl is surveying the area, Noctowl notices a hooded figure with blonde hair that appears to be a woman on top of a Charizard in midair. Noctowl, immediately recognizing them as a possible culprit, tries to flee to alert the others, but before Noctowl can do so, the hooded woman commands Charizard to use a fire blast, landing a critical hit, knocking him out, leaving him in critical condition with a burn effect. The hooded woman smirks and then pulls out a Pokegear as she begins talking. All threats in the area have been neutralized. A sinister voice begins talking in response. Good work, Domino. Were you able to obtain the item? Unfortunately, I wasn't able to. The monk did not disclose any information about the item, but I believe that it was possibly destroyed in the fire, along with the monks. It can't be helped then. We'll have to resort to Plan B. I want you to report back to base and wait for further instructions. The communication on the Pokegear cuts off, and Domino proceeds to fly off with Charizard. A couple minutes later, Silver's Totodile manages to completely put out the fire. Unfortunately, when Larvitar returned to the group, he informed Ash that there were no survivors due to Larvitar's blank expression. The only thing that survived the fire was a Pokemon egg that Larvitar was holding. The group notices this, Silver being surprised that a Pokemon egg would be able to survive something like that. But upon further inspection, Falconer notices that the egg seemed lifeless and cold, which is odd considering that the egg was found in a burning building. Ash puts his hands out, signaling to Larvitar to hand him the egg. Larvitar notices this and approaches Ash with the egg in hand, but as soon as he touches the egg, it begins to glow and regain its color. Seeing this puts the whole group on alert. As the egg begins to glow brighter and brighter, it starts to hatch, surprising everyone. That's impossible. The egg was lifeless when I had it. It's like Ash restored the egg's life force when he made contact. But that's unheard of, Falconer thinks in deep thought. The egg continues to glow brighter until the light emitting off the egg blinds the group of trainers. After the light dissipates, a shiny Ponyta emerges from the cracked eggshell. Its coat glistens with an unworldly sheen, displaying a vibrant array of colors that seem to dance in the sunlight. The Ponyta looks around, seemingly aware of its surroundings, and then locks eyes with Ash. There is an undeniable connection between them, as if a bond was formed in that brief moment. The group remains silent, trying to comprehend the mysterious circumstances surrounding the egg and its miraculous revival. Falconer breaks the silence, still gasping in the unexplained nature of what just occurred. I've never seen anything like this before. It's as if the egg drew energy from Ash and came back to life, but how is such a thing even possible? Silver, ever the pragmatic trainer, remains skeptical. This is some weird stuff. I don't buy into this mystical nonsense. Maybe the egg was just resilient or something. Ash, however, feels a connection with the newly hatched Ponyta. He extends a hand and the Ponyta nuzzles against it, displaying a level of trust that surprises everyone present. I don't understand it either, but I feel like we're connected somehow. Maybe this Ponyta is special. and we were meant for something extraordinary. In response, Silver begins talking. Well, the Ponyta is shiny, so that automatically makes it special by default. On the other hand, it is a newly hatched Pokemon, so you should probably catch it so you can get it looked at by Nurse Joy later. That sounds like a decent plan, and I don't have any better ideas. Ash takes out a Pokeball and gently taps Ponyta on the head, catching it and adding it to his team. Afterwards, Ash immediately lets Ponyta back out. That also reminds me, Falconer, didn't you send your Noctowl to scout the area? It's been a couple of minutes and he hasn't returned. Yeah, I sent him about 30 minutes ago, and that is very odd. Noctowl normally only takes about 15 minutes max to scout an area this size. Silver, hearing this, facepalms for a second, and then looks at Falconer with a serious expression. I highly suggest that we immediately begin searching for Noctowl. Ash nods his head in agreement, while Falconer has more of a relaxed approach. I don't think you understand the gravity of this situation. You sent Noctowl to possibly find a person who burned Sprout Tower, right? Well, considering the fact that the person who did this must have a strong fire-type Pokemon or a Pokemon with a strong fire-type move. And what's your point? My point is that your Noctowl just got through with a gym battle that he lost, so Noctowl isn't at full strength. At this realization, Falconer instantly realizes his mistake and runs off in the direction he sent Noctowl. In response, Silver rushes towards the area where Falconer had run off to, with Ash, Larvitar, and Ponyta following behind. Once they arrive, a chilling sense of dread fills the air. The distant echoes of their footsteps are drowned out by the haunting realization that something terrible awaits them. Noctowl lies on the ground, its lifeless eyes staring into oblivion. Falconer's heart shatters as he falls to his knees beside the limp body of his fallen companion. The silence that follows is suffocating. The weight of the tragedy hangs heavily over the group. Ash and Silver share glances, their expressions mirroring the bleak reality of the scene. Falconer's grief transforms into anger as he clenches his fist. I should have been more vigilant. Noctowl deserved better than this. Silver, his usually stern demeanor replaced by a somber resolve, mutters through gritting teeth. We need to find who did this and eliminate them. If they are allowed to roam freely, they are going to continue to take more lives. Ash places a consoling hand on Falconer's shoulder, but the gesture does little to ease the despair that hangs in the air. Ponyta, sensing the somber atmosphere, stands nearby, its vibrant colors dulled by the gravity of the situation. Ponyta approaches the lifeless body of Noctowl and places its hoof on Noctowl. In response, Falconer immediately gets defensive and begins to yell, but then stops when it sees Noctowl start to glow a tad bit, as his eyes begin to show a little bit of life. Ponyta uses a heal pulse to fully heal Noctowl, causing Noctowl to slowly open his eyes. The whole group, seeing this, looks in amazement, especially Silver, catching him completely off guard. Falconer's disbelief gives a mix of astonishment and gratitude. Noctowl, who moments ago seemed a little lost to the void, blinks back into consciousness. The air changed with a surreal energy as Noctowl rises from the ground, a testament to the unexpected twists lives can take. I don't believe it. How? Ash, happy with the result of the situation, smiles with relief. Ponyta, you truly are something special. Ponyta, having played his part in the miraculous revival, stands with an air of quiet majesty. Its colors, once dulled by the grim circumstances, begins to dance once again with renewed vibrancy. Falconer, overwhelmed by the emotional roller coaster, gathers Noctowl into a tight embrace. The camaraderie between trainer and Pokemon, thought lost forever, is rekindled. I thought I lost you forever, buddy. Thank you, Ponyta. I hate to interrupt this heartfelt moment, but you and Noctowl should probably head back to the gym to get some rest. I agree with Silver. There's not much more we could do pertaining to this situation. We can't even report this incident to the authorities since this city doesn't even have a police station. Falconer nods his head in understanding. So where are y'all going to go now? What are y'all going to do? I don't know about Ash, but I plan on heading to Azalea Town next. That's where the next gym leader is at, so I'm heading there. I'm planning on heading there too, for the same reason. But since we're heading to the same place, we should travel together. It's a lot safer that way. Silver stops to think about this for a second. He then remembers the emblem on Ash's hat before deciding to take Ash up on his offer. Okay, we can travel together for now. The gym leader in Azalea Town is Bugsy. He uses bug Pokemon. But don't underestimate him. His Scyther is no joke. We'll make sure to keep that in mind. Well, I better be on my way now. Falconer thanks Ponyta once again for saving his Pokemon before he says his farewells to the group. As Falconer heads towards the Violet City Gym, Ash and Silver decide to make their way to the Pokemon Center, the devastation of Sprout Tower still lingering in the air. When entering the Pokemon Center, the atmosphere of the center was as if they were submerged in the depths of an abyss. As the duo approaches Nurse Joy, they both hand over their Pokemon. As Ash is about to hand over his Pokemon, Ash requests Nurse Joy if she could look over his Ponyta that recently hatched. Ash then proceeds to explain everything that happened after Ponyta hatched. Nurse Joy nods her head in understanding as she proceeds to take their Pokemon. She then informs Ash that in order to do a thorough checkup, he would have to come back in the morning. Ash then proceeds to ask if they could get a room for tonight. After the duo checks into the room, they recall the events that occurred earlier today. Ash, I've been meaning to ask you something. Proceed. Earlier, before your gym battle against Falconer, he mentioned that you were the son of Karen of the Elite Four. What about it? I've been in Johto for a long time, and I've never met a Johtonian like you. Were you truly raised in Johto? Why does my upbringing matter to you? 'Cause I need to know whose side you're truly on. I'm not originally from Johto. I'm from the Fallen region of Kanto. Upon hearing this revelation, Ash's interest is piqued. Ash then mumbles under his breath, I thought I was the only one left. So my suspicions were correct. You're not originally from here. But that raises the question, what is a member of the Johtonian Elite Four doing with a Kantonian son? It doesn't make much sense after all of the destruction and death they caused, especially Karen, of all people. After all the lives she's taken, I would have never thought that she would try to raise one. Ash, hearing this, doesn't take too kindly to Silver's words. First of all, you're making a lot of assumptions on a topic you know nothing about. Remember, you had to ask me about my upbringing. Do you truly know the person you claim to be? The person that you hold so dear is responsible for the deaths of lives that's younger than you. The life you have isn't even yours. They stole you. How can you dictate my life for me? I know how I was raised. This should mean nothing to you. You're just a passerby. If I'm not aware of what was taken from me, was it even stolen? Yes, In that case, you had nothing, and you stand for nothing. Ash then glares at Silver before speaking in a cold tone. If you want to play rescue squad, I'm not your man. Silver scoffs at this before exiting the room. Ash is now standing in the room by himself, alone with his thoughts, thinking of what Silver said. He thinks of his mother, Karen, who is a genocidal maniac, and how who she was then shouldn't affect who she is now. But who she was now still has a direct effect on his goal. She quite literally destroyed his life and gave him the task of rebuilding it, while giving him the falsehood that he was living a good life. Silver, after realizing that Ash's motives don't align with his, decides to go his separate way. Early next morning, Ash is speaking with Nurse Joy as she informs him on the results of Ponyta's checkup. She goes on to explain that there is nothing out of the ordinary with Ponyta's condition. Ash thanks Nurse Joy before taking his Pokemon and letting Larvitar out. Ash then looks at his map to see the fastest route to Azalea Town. Ash notices that the fastest route would be to go through Union Cave. Ash then remembers that Silver is also going that route. Because of this, Ash decides to go to Goldenrod City instead. So Ash prepares his items and heads out in that direction. On his way to Goldenrod City, in the enchanting atmosphere of Route 36, a gentle breeze rushes the leaves of the towering trees as Ash, accompanied by Larvitar, carefully examines his map. The vibrant colors of the lush landscape surround him, as Larvitar seems to share Ash's growing excitement. The national park is known for its rare bug Pokemon, lies ahead. As Ash's imagination is set ablaze with dreams of adding a powerful Pinsir or Scyther to his team. As they approach the park, the delightful sounds of Pokemon calls and the occasional flutter of wings fill the air. Amidst this lively symphony, Ash notices a captivating scene, a pink-haired girl with playful pigtails engaging in a spirited battle. Her milk tank gracefully executes a powerful body slam, leaving the wild Apom paralyzed and vulnerable. The girl then captures Apom in a friend ball with an effortless grace that immediately captures Ash's attention. While the pink-haired trainer is picking up the friend ball, she notices Ash staring at her and decides to approach him. Hey there, I'm Whitney. Did you see how awesome my milk tank is? Super impressive, right? Caught slightly off guard, Ash stumbles through his response, feeling the heat rise to his cheeks. Yeah, that was quite impressive. I'm Ash, from Cherry Grove City. Whitney, sensing Ash's flustered state, giggles and twirls a strand of her pink hair with a mischievous smile. Cherry Grove, huh? I've been there a couple of times. I even caught a Cursula there a while ago. Ash's admiration grows as they share a brief conversation about Pokemon. Whitney's playful demeanor becomes more evident, especially when she subtly hits at the thrill of their shared interest. Speaking of Pokemon, are you heading to the national park? There's a bug catching contest happening today. The first place prize is a metal coat, and the second place prize is a sunstone. Ash's eyes light up with anticipation as he shares his desire to catch a Scyther. Whitney's eyes sparkle with mischief. Bugsy, my friend, and the Azalea Town gym leader caught one there not too long ago. We should go together. I'll show you the best spots. As Whitney looks directly into Ash's eyes, he can't help but feel a bit flustered. Larvitar, amused by the situation, chuckles quietly. Before Ash can ask more questions, Whitney playfully yells his name, bringing him back to reality. Oh, sorry, I got lost in thought. What did you say earlier? Whitney asks if Ash is ready to go. Larvitar laughs, and after a moment of regained composure, Ash agrees. After a couple minutes of walking, they stumble upon a crowded registration area where trainers excitedly sign up for the bug catching contest. The air is alive with chatter and anticipation. Here we are, Ash. Let's sign up for the contest. The registration process is a fairly simple one, as Ash and Whitney provide their trainer IDs to the event organizers. Each trainer receives a numbered badge and a special apricorn ball for the contest. The announcer explains that each trainer has 20 minutes to catch a single bug Pokemon. Each trainer will be able to keep the Pokemon they caught regardless if they win or not. As the announcer starts the timer, hordes of trainers begin scattering off in different directions. Whitney, seeing this, grabs Ash's hand and runs off, causing the young trainer to turn red again. "Where are we going?" Ash says in confusement. "I'm taking you to the area where Scyther lives," Whitney says, smirking. The duo eventually ends up at two trees with a small opening between them. This part of the park looks completely different than the rest of the park. That's because it is. You see the opening between those two trees? That's called a hidden grotto. Hidden grottos are special areas within a forest that normally hold rare Pokemon. Hidden grottos are super rare, especially in Johto, because these type of things are normally in Unova, but they've been recently showing up in Johto. Interesting. Does that mean I can find Unovian Pokemon in these? Well, yeah, you can, but the chances of doing so are slim to none. But anyway, are you ready to go? Ash nods his head as they enter the grotto. Upon entering the grotto, the shift in atmosphere is immediately recognizable. The grotto seemed like it was cut off from the rest of the world, calm and serene. As they approach the center of the grotto, they can see a Scyther bathing in the faint sunlight, glittering through the trees. Ash calmly approaches Scyther and readies a Pokeball. Whitney silently watches on, hoping for Ash's success. Scyther, sensing their presence, turns its attention towards the young trainer. "Ash, do you have any Pokemon that have an advantage over Scyther?" Larvitar or Ponyta would be my best option, but Ponyta is still very young, and I don't want to rely on Larvitar because he's my strongest Pokemon. I can tell this Scyther is very formidable. Wait, I think I have a solution. Ash then calls out Murkrow. "Murkrow, prepare yourself for battle." With a call of determination, Murkrow spreads his wings, ready to confront the formidable Scyther. The two Pokemon exchange challenging glares, setting the stage for a showdown. Murkrow, initiate with Drill Peck. Murkrow dives down at breakneck speed, aiming its beak at Scyther. The agile bug and flying type, however, displays incredible reflexes, evading the Drill Peck with a swift sidestep. Murkrow, don't let up, follow up with Pursuit. Murkrow, relentless in his pursuit, weaves through the grotto, relentlessly tracking Scyther. The bug and flying type counters with Fury Cutter, a barrage of slashing strikes that gain power with each successful hit. Murkrow, agile and evasive, retaliates with Mirror Move, skillfully replicating Scyther's Fury Cutter and a dazzling display of aerial combat. The grotto becomes a whirlwind of motion as the two Pokemon engage in a fast-paced exchange of blows. The air is charged with intensity as Murkrow and Scyther dance through the trees, each move calculated and precise. Ash, recognizing the need for a different strategy, seizes an opportune moment. Murkrow, use Haze. A veil of mist envelops the battlefield, shrouding Scyther in confusion. Ash then calls for Murkrow to use a Drill Peck once again in the midst of all the confusion. Murkrow, now, here's your chance. Use Drill Peck. Murkrow once again dives down at breakneck speed, aiming its beak at Scyther. Scyther, in the mist, decides to calm himself and listen to his surroundings. Scyther then hears a faint sound coming at him. In response, Scyther sidesteps out of the way, causing Murkrow to slam into the ground headfirst. Ash, seeing this, is shocked at the fierce instincts that Scyther has. As Whitney watches the battle unfold, she thinks to herself, Ash's Murkrow is strong, but Scyther is on a whole nother level. I know Hidden Grotto Pokemon are known for being strong, but this is crazy. At this rate, Ash is going to... But before she can finish her sentence, Scyther is seen firing a Hyper Beam at Murkrow. Ash, seeing this, yells for Murkrow to get out of the way, but unfortunately, due to Murkrow being dazed from hitting the ground so hard, Murkrow is unable to dodge, causing Murkrow to get overwhelmed by the Hyper Beam and knocked out in the process. Ash watches as Murkrow gets blasted by the Hyper Beam. At the same moment, Teddiursa pops out of his Pokeball to witness the gruesome sight, causing something within him to be triggered. As Ash returns Murkrow to his ball, he catches a glimpse of a green blur blitz Scyther, slamming its fist into Scyther's face with a powerful retaliate, knocking it out instantly. Whitney is absolutely baffled at the raw strength that Teddiursa revealed. Ash is stunned, not even realizing Teddiursa had left his Pokeball. Ash, snapping out of his daze, immediately throws a Pokeball, catching and adding Scyther to his team. Ash walks over to Teddiursa and picks him up, soothing the baby cub Pokemon out of its rage. Whitney walks up to Teddiursa and places her hand on the baby cub. I didn't know a Pokemon so small could have so much power. I guess there's just many more surprises to come. Exiting the grotto, Ash and Whitney proceed to look for more Pokemon. Whitney ends up catching a Yunma. Shortly after, the contest comes to an end, with Ash winning first place. As a result, he is awarded a medal coat. Unbeknownst to Ash, he had a secret follower, watching his progress. Meanwhile, in an unknown location, a blonde hooded woman waits patiently for the arrival of a special figure, that being the mafia boss, mastermind, Giovanni. As she continues to wait, she then hears a voice in the darkness. Are you ready to receive your next orders, Domino? Yes, sir. In Azalea Town, there's a special friend I want you to pay a visit to. And that's where I'll be ending off part 3. Like I said last time, I've been pretty busy with school and work, but since the semester is over, I only have to focus on work now. I'm gonna try to get out part 4 before the end of December, but if it doesn't come out by the 31st, then it means I got caught up with work, because work and school are my 2 priorities as of right now. But with that being said, I appreciate y'all watching my series up to this point, and stay tuned for part 4, which will hopefully release on the 31st.